and then I'll share my screen and explain how to add this to, and I'm trying to mute people if you, again, if you're new to Zoom, if you're not for sure how to mute yourself, trying to help out with that as well. And thank you, Kelly. Kelly says she will help out with the chat as well. So right now I am sharing my screen with you. And if you see that it's a full screen, a couple different options you can do. In the upper right-hand corner, you should be able to exit full screen if you would like to, so that you can have another window open. You can also, if in the upper right-hand corner you don't see where you can exit full screen, another spot could be right over here where it says exit full screen. It could be there, but if you've got my screen on your screen, it should be in the upper right-hand corner to exit full screen, and then you can have my screen, you can see the Zoom screen, or have any other window open that you would like to. So welcome, we're glad you're here with us. We are going to go over an introduction to G Suite apps. The next 3 hours will go super fast. You will get a lot of information. If you are brand new to Google, know that we're going to kind of go over some of these apps with you, and then if you need to dive deeper into some of the other apps, you can look at some of the recordings on my YouTube channel, or look for other workshop offerings coming up throughout the summer. So again, what I did, and then, you know, feel free to look in chat. People will give you other options, or might have other questions or comments there that might help you as well. Again, I did put the link there in chat. And so what all I did was I went over to the chat, copied the link, and then I went, I can make sure I'm opened in Google Chrome, in the Chrome web browser, and then go to a new tab. So then in the new tab, all I have to do is paste the link in the Omnibox. The Omnibox is where you put the URL. If you hear people reference the URL is just the website of the address of the web page. It stands for Uniform Resource Locator, if anybody out there wanted to know that. And then hit enter, and then you should have the slide deck. If you want to have access to the slide deck after today, all you would have to do is where the triangle and the plus sign is up here, you would just have to add this to your drive. So just come up here, click on that, and then it's automatically accessing your Google Drive. You can put it in your Google Drive from here. Think of your Google Drive as a big file cabinet. This is where all of your files will go that you saved to it. I can go ahead and put it in my drive, or if I want my drive organized, I can put it in a folder that I have already created, or I can create a folder from here. I can come down here to where it says new folder and a plus sign and click on that. I can name it whatever folder I would want. If you're taking a lot of workshops this month and next month, you can, you know, put 2020 workshops, whatever you want to put here, and then just hit the check mark here, and then add the shortcut here to your folder. If you already have a folder created, all you have to do is click on that folder and add the shortcut there, and then you will have access to it after today. Another thing you could do, you could bookmark it. To bookmark it, all you would have to do is come up here and hit the star. When you click on the star, it changes it to blue, and then I can bookmark it to my bookmark bar, or within my bookmarks, I can have it organized by folders. So a lot of different choices here of how to save this, to come back later, to visit it if you so choose. You don't have to. All right, so I'll just talk to you about slide number 1 here. This is a virtual classroom I created using Bitmoji and using Google Slides. If anybody's interested, I can go over at the end, or send you a link to some information on creating your own. I am having a workshop on this, just an hour long, in June. So you can look for that as well. But on this, I've created links where people could go to the Learning Technology Center webpage. And then over here on the bookcase, I just put 3 computer monitors, and again, put some links about the Learning Technology Center, and then also my YouTube channel that you can access for the recordings from these workshops. On slide 2, here's where you will need to sign in for today's workshop. And when you click on this sign-in sheet, it will take you to a Google form. And on this Google form, it should look like this. And you just fill out your information here. And then you can submit it at the end when you've completed it. Again, here's a slide deck presentation if you would like that. In Google, it's called Google Slides, similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. And sometimes you will hear me reference this slide deck. So Google has gotten the name of Google Slides, people calling it going to access the slide deck. So same thing, just different terminology. Here on step 2D, here's an evaluation to complete. And then also you will get an ISB evaluation to complete within 24 to 96 hours after this workshop. And that's where you will get your professional development hours. And if for some reason you don't get that, let me know and I can reach out to either Kelly or Aaron to make sure that we get those to you. And then once you get that, your evidence of completion will come to you, and that's what you enter into your Ellis account. So today we are going to go over these 6 different apps within the G Suite apps for education. And again, we've got 3 hours with you. This will go fast. We might not get into them as deep as you would want to learn about them, but again, today is just an overview and introducing you to the apps. So a little bit about myself. My name is Lisa Schwartz, and I did teach in the Quincy Public School District. I know there's many Quincy teachers on here today, as well as some Jacksonville teachers. So and people throughout the ROE1 region and maybe throughout the state. But I did teach 6th through 9th grade for 19 years, various subjects. Majority of the time I did teach computers and computer science. I currently am working with the Learning Technology Center now. This is my 2nd year, and I work with 10 ROEs here within this green area and the school districts within those ROEs. So been keeping very busy during this time of remote learning. If you haven't heard of the Learning Technology Center before, here's our mission. You can read about that. And then here's some other links you could go to learn more about the LTC. And we've got some more online learning. If you need more PD hours, you can check that out. We've got some other events coming up here throughout the summer as well. So the Learning Technology Center, they have been around for over 20 years. And what my role is at the LTC is providing professional development around technology to teachers. So especially during this time of remote learning, teachers have had a little bit extra time to learn some things around technology that they didn't have time during the school year. So anytime you're using the G Suite apps for education, any apps within the G Suite for education environment, you want to make sure you're using Google Chrome. And the reason for that is that they play nicely with each other. Perfect example here, if I open up, if you're familiar with different web browsers out there, like the little blue E, Microsoft Internet Explorer, or Safari, if I try to open up Google Docs in Safari, it'll work, but it doesn't have all of the functionalities, all of the tools available to me in Safari that the Google Chrome web browser allows me to use. So for example, I had a teacher who opened up Google Docs in Safari the other day. She couldn't get the voice typing to work. And first thing I asked her, I said, are you in the Google Chrome web browser? She looked and she noticed that she was in, so she had opened it up in Safari. So perfect example. Not all of the tools will work in other web browsers. So just another way Google trying to make sure you're using the Google environment there. Another thing I want to point out here is Chrome profile. So if you look up here to the right-hand side, I've got the same picture here. So I'm logged into my Google Chrome profile of my work account. I'm logged into my Google account, my work account. I've got the same picture here. At any time, could I add other accounts to this Google Chrome profile? I can, but where this comes into play is I may have my personal account signed in under my work Chrome profile account, and it might automatically then save to my work account, and I wanted it to save to my personal account. So what I've done, I try to stay signed out of my other Google accounts here under this Google Chrome work account. I only usually sign into my Google account, my work Google account under my work Google Chrome profile. You may be totally lost right now, confused by the difference of this. That is okay. You will find that this will come into play and you'll understand this better when this happens to you. So, you know, let's say I'm in my personal account here. I open up a document someone shares with me. I add it to my drive, and unbeknownst to me, that when I added it to my drive, it saved it to my work drive account and not my personal drive account. So again, I usually didn't realize that until I went looking for the document that I added to my drive, and it wasn't there. So what I do, I just added, if I come up here to the three dots, let me just go to my Chrome profile person right there. I've added other people. So I have my personal account here. I have another school account here. And I've got Blake, I've signed up for, he's my student account that I use for my Google Classroom that I can show you. So when I want to go to my personal account, I don't go to my personal Google account from here anymore. I delete them, but for this, why I'm talking about this, I put it here so you could see. So when I switch between different accounts, if you saw me earlier going to this is my personal account. So you can see, here's my personal Chrome profile and my Google account. Again, I do have another Google account signed in here, but that might cause some confusion later. Again, if all of this is foreign to you, you don't understand it, again, it's sometimes when you need to know it, will it make sense, that you can go back here to slide 7, and you might think, oh yeah, that lady talked about something about my Google account and Chrome profile. You might not get it right now, but hopefully if it does happen to you, you'll know to come back here to maybe look at this blog post to understand it a little bit better. And feel free, you can look at it right now as well. So just like if we were doing this in person, to allow for differentiation, I would allow you guys to look through the slide deck and work ahead if you so choose. You know how you best learn. So during this presentation, don't feel like you have to be with me every step of the way. If I'm stressing you out too much, yes, it's easy for you to mute me, you know, turn off the camera, whatever, so that you can take a deep breath and go at your own speed. But hopefully you will get something out of today, and that I won't stress you out any more than you might already be. And again, feel free, is everybody doing okay so far? Did you get the slide deck added to your drive or bookmarked? Or any general questions right now before we start going in on talking about YouTube? I'm just like most of you, I would rather be in person than this remote learning, because I am used to the interaction, I'm used to questions. So this wait time and this quietness is different for me. So real quick, I did have a question. How do you add to bookmarks? All you have to do, once you have it up here, you've added it, you're in Google Chrome here. To add it to bookmarks, all you have to do is click on this star, and I can either add it to my bookmark bar, or if I've created different like folders within my bookmark bar, I can add it there. So I could even choose another folder. But if I just put it there, then it should appear up on my bookmark bar. Hope that helps. If not, I can stay on after to show you. Again, if you only have my screen, you can exit full screen by, should be in the upper right-hand corner where you can exit full screen. There should be a couple different buttons up there. Anybody have any other suggestions out there on how people can exit full screen?
Lisa, there's a couple questions in the chat.
Okay.
How do we get to our screen while watching you? That's kind of what we just went over.
Okay. Anybody have any other suggestions? What else I could say to help them? I don't see what you see, but you know, as far as sharing, when I'm sharing my screen, I don't have the option to exit full screen, but it should be in the upper right-hand corner. Do you have that on yours, guys, or? Okay, someone said try clicking escape to exit full screen. So I know there's different ways to do it. I just know on my screen, when someone's sharing their screen, I can exit full screen in the upper right-hand corner. But someone suggested hit escape to exit full screen if you don't have that.
So guys, if you're looking at this, maybe and you have the chat box up here on the far right-hand corner. If you look in where the black background is, where her screen is, I can see myself and like 5 people up at the top of my screen. In the corner of that, top right corner of that black box, there's an exit full screen button. If you toggle over it, maybe that'll help.
If not, if you haven't been able to bookmark it or add it to your drive, we'll for sure stay on after and help you with that. And then if you haven't been able to access the sign-in, again, we can either put that in chat or stay on after to help you, and we can even send that to your email as well. And there, you said, was there another question?
Yes, and the next question is, after we bookmark it, how do we find it once we bookmark it?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking that. So to find your bookmark bar, or so my bookmark bar is right here. And if I have too many things on my bookmark bar, do you see these arrows, double arrows there? I click on those, and here's all of the things I put on my bookmark bar. I could probably go and clean that up. I just you know, with the different workshops, sometimes I'll put things on my bookmark bar and then need to go back and delete them, but I always forget to go back and delete them. But to show you, that's what happens. Another place, if you hit the 3 dots over here to the right of your Chrome profile picture, I go to Bookmarks, click on Bookmarks, and then go to Bookmark Manager. So for some of you, if your bookmarks bar is not showing, you might have to select it so it does show your bookmark bar right here. And then if I go to my Bookmark Manager, right here, it opens up a new tab. Here's all of the different folders I have within my bookmarks bar. If I come over here and look at my other bookmarks, here's bookmarks there. So I've got a lot of different ways that I can access to see all of the bookmarks. What I find, sometimes I bookmark things and I forget that I bookmarked them. I don't know about you guys, but I like my bookmarks, but then sometimes I forget that I bookmarked them. So under Bookmark Manager, I just hit the 3 dots here to go to Bookmarks. Okay, so as you can see there, you've got, when you hit those 3 dots, you have a menu of a lot of other things here that you can take a look at. I could probably do a 2-hour workshop about all these things over here that you can access under the 3 dots. So great question. Okay, so hopefully you were able to get it. Again, if not, put in your question again in chat, and maybe some other teachers can help you out there with some other suggestions. So today what we are going to do with the apps, I'm going to start off with YouTube here. This was, I will tell you, YouTube was one of the harder apps for me to understand a little bit because I didn't use it as much. So how do you get to YouTube? Again, a couple different ways. I could just create a new tab and type in YouTube. I could come up here. When I clicked on a new tab, I can come over here to the waffle. Right here with the waffle, I have several different apps that I have available to me. Your apps may be different than mine. It may depend on the school district you're at, whether what apps they allow you to use. They do, your Google admin does have control over which apps they can push out and which ones they don't. So again, if it's an app that you think you should be able to use, talk to your tech department or tech person to see if you have it available to you. Again, you'll probably just have to look back at your district policy. And I know as a teacher, I didn't know all of the policies the district had. That's why I relied on the tech department to help me. So again, I can click over here at the waffle and I'll go down to YouTube. This will bring up the YouTube app. If you haven't created your own channel before, you can create it. If you go over here to the right-hand side and create your channel, here's where then if you create your own channel, if you do screencasts or record yourself and you upload it to YouTube and then share it out with your students to watch, you teach or have a concept that you want to get it conveyed to the students, or have them have access to it later when they need to know it. Just like with anything, I explained that Chrome profile to you. Some of you blocked me out. That's fine because it might have stressed you out. You're not ready for that information yet. But just know that, you can always go back to this recording to look, what was she talking about with that Chrome profile? And you can reference that at your own time when you're ready to learn or need to know about it. But so right here, if you haven't created your channel, you might want to do that if you want to start using YouTube more in your classroom or during this time of remote learning. Again, if you don't have YouTube available to you, check with your tech department to see the reasoning behind it and see if you can get that available to you. So here with YouTube, what I'm going to do, I've got the slide deck here. I'm not going to usually be in presentation mode with the slide deck. I'm going to go back and forth from the slide deck to the different apps that I'm going to be showing you. So when I go into YouTube here, here's just some recommended YouTube either channels or videos for me to watch. Sometimes it's an algorithm based on what you've watched before. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they just put it out there. Maybe it's an ad. But if I keep going down here, here's some more information, more videos. Again, just by looking at all of this, it could be overwhelming. So I want to talk to you about over here to the left. Some of you, my youngest son is 13 and he goes to YouTube for a lot of his movies and different people he follows. He follows some famous YouTubers. And if you want to see what maybe your own students are looking at or watching, you can go to trending and see what videos out there that they may be watching and to see what's happening out there on YouTube based off of trending. Again, YouTube has an algorithm that they have, and you can see how many views they are, and just, you know, to help with the trending, what gets into the trending part. You can also come up here and filter it by music, gaming, news. So I remember a few years ago when my kids were starting to play Fortnite and they heard me talk about Ninja. They were surprised that I knew who Ninja was. Ninja's a big YouTuber that plays Fortnite. And if you haven't heard, or you know you've got students who play Fortnite, they would be surprised if you could have a conversation with them about that. Subscriptions, what subscriptions are is you can subscribe to any channels out there. It's for free. And it basically then allows those YouTubers then to go to different, what am I trying to say? Different sponsors to then make money if they show their advertisements on their YouTube channel. So if I can't remember the kid's name, that 7-year-old, I think he is, that is worth millions of dollars because he reviews toys. Well, how is he making money? When those companies see that he has so many subscribers out there, then they're willing to then have him, you know, pay him a certain amount of money to talk about their business. So the subscriptions are very important to the famous YouTubers, so then they can make more money. Right here with library, again, in the library, it shows my history and watch later. What I like about watch later is if I go, I'll go back here to home. If I, you know, like any of these videos here and I don't have time to watch it right now, I can bookmark it by using the watch later. So if I come up here and click watch later, it's added to my watch later bookmark. So did I have to create that? I didn't. All I had to do was come over here to watch later. I click on that. You can see all of the videos that I have clicked on to watch later. Okay. Now, have I went back and watched them all? No, but I guess it just makes me realize that I can find it easily if I want to go back to find that video. Can I remove this video at any time? I can. So if you don't learn anything from today, hopefully you'll remember this. Anytime you see a gear or 3 dots or 3 lines, there are other menus there. So if I click on these 3 dots here, I've got some other options here. I can add this to queue. So this is something new Google put out, I don't know, maybe in the last couple of months, that if I add it to queue, it just pops up down here. I can add several videos to my queue on the right-hand side of my screen. And then I can close it out. But as you can see here, I can remove it from the watch later. I can save it to a playlist, and I'll talk about playlist here in a minute. And then again, I can move it to the top or bottom of this playlist. So the watch later is created by YouTube. I don't have to set this up. It's already created there, that at any videos that I see out there that I would like, all I have to do is then click on this icon of the clock, and that saves it automatically to my watch later file over here. So then again, so besides library, here at history, I can see the videos that I've watched or videos that I have put down to watch later. I've got a link here for my, it says my videos. So I can have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel. If you look here, I've got some that this says unlisted, so it's not public out there. This one's private, so it shows if it's private. So you can make, even though your YouTube channel's out there and anybody can locate it, within your YouTube channel, you can decide if you want the videos to be public or private. Again, here's watch later. And then if I go back to home here, so again, if I am trying to find a topic, if we're studying about the farm with students, if I want to find you know, if I want to put life on a farm or just put farm for right now, and I want to create a playlist of different videos out there that people have recorded to talk about life on the farm, what I could do, then I could click, let's say I want this video.
You want to know what it's like to feed three?
Okay, so I watched this video, I like it, I want to share this out to the students that we're learning about doing a unit about the farm. So right down here, I can share this. If I share this, I can get a copy of the YouTube video and I can add it to my Google Classroom. I can add it to Google Slides. I can add it to Google Forms. And when I add it to one of those apps, it won't play ads and it won't start playing another video at the end. So it'll just play the video when I'm in one of the other apps, whether it's Google Forms, Google Slides, or if I put it in Google Classroom. I could also, do you see this here? This has 3 lines and a plus sign, and that you can add it to a playlist. So if I already have, it's kind of like, you know, folders. If I have the folder here that I want to add it to, I can add it to it there. If not, I can come down here, create new playlist, and I just want to create a playlist about the farm. This playlist, again, I can make the playlist public, unlisted, where I just have to give the people the link, or private only that I can view. I'll make this public for now, and I hit create. And so when I add this to the playlist, it is already there with farm. All I had to do was click on that button and it saves it. Here, if I wanted to, I could subscribe. It looks like then he's got like a blog, but a video log here that you can get a free 30-day trial, but then he's got it set up where people pay for a subscription. And then again, right here, I've got 3 dots. Check out what those 3 dots, you know, if there's an inappropriate video, you can report it. You can open the transcript of the video if you need to, and you can even add translations if you need to as well. So again, the differentiation. I know sometimes if I'm watching a short video, how to learn something, I might, instead of watching the video, open up the transcript to read through it instead of watching the entire video. So again, to go back, I can just click on these 3 lines here and I can go back to home from here. And then I have the options over here. But I forgot, when I clicked on transcript, do you see, here's the transcript that comes up. So you might, you know, again, some people, to have that, they might still want to watch the video, but to have the transcript there to the right might be beneficial as well. So it's automatically English, but again, come up here to the 3 dots. I can toggle the timestamps, but then I can also change the language if I am working with students that speak another language. So if I go to Jerry Brooks, I subscribe to his channel. Again, when I subscribe to a channel, the purpose of that is then I kind of got over here on the left-hand side, I can just click on Jerry Brooks. I don't have to put his name in YouTube and search for him. So it's kind of like a folder that has all of his videos in it here for me. Here's his home. Here's popular uploads. Here's playlist he's created based off of the titles right here. If I wanted to, I could go to videos and see all of his videos that he's put out there for the public to see. Again, I could see playlist here, or you saw that I could see that playlist in home. I could look at community. He doesn't have anything there yet. Yeah, nothing there. So you have some of these other tabs, but usually the tabs that you'll look at is home, videos, and playlist. And then to subscribe, so if I hadn't subscribed to him, I would just click on subscribe right there. It would be red. If I want to unsubscribe from him at any time, I can just hit unsubscribe as well. So it says he has 148,000 subscribers, and then I will get notifications when he posts anything new. So if I come up here to my notifications, do you see the number 4 there? It shows me that I've got 4 new notifications there. So I also get notifications when people subscribe to my channel as well. Again, basically all I have on my channel are the workshop recordings from this past time during remote learning. But you would get just some notifications there. Also, if people comment on maybe a video, you would get a notification here as well. But coming back here to subscribe, do you have to subscribe to a channel? You don't. It's just you get the notifications when they upload new material. So, and then also with the subscriptions, then over here, it shows all of the channels I'm subscribed to. And it just is another way to access the material instead of always coming up here and searching for it. Also right here, you can also see all of the playlists that you have. So I've just over time been trying to create playlists of different material out there that teachers have been wanting, and then I can share that playlist. So if I go to my Google Workshops playlist, so again, you can add videos to the playlist. How do you do that? All you have to do, let me review that real quick. If I'm back at home or whatever tab I'm on or whatever videos I'm on, I just go over to the video here. If this is one that I want to create in my playlist, all I have to do is come down here, click on the playlist, and then I can add it to whatever playlist I need. If I don't have a playlist created here, I can create a name for a new playlist at any time. So then once I've got my playlist that I have, so if I go back to the Google Workshops, then I can share this out to my students. So, or to other teachers. So if you look right here, this has 9 videos in it. It's got 6 views. I've got it made it public. Again, I can change it at any time to make it unlisted or private. And then I can click on share. And then here I get a copy of the link. I can put this out into Google Classroom to share with the students to watch this playlist. If I want, I can edit description. I can edit the title of this playlist at any time. Again, I've got 3 dots here. I can add more videos from here, add all of these to another playlist. I can even collaborate on a playlist with another teacher. And so when you do collaborate with another teacher or another person, an educator on this playlist, they can add or delete anything to the playlist that you can. So again, if you don't want them to have that control, you might not want to add them as a collaborator. Again, I can delete playlists, and then again, the gear, I've got some playlist settings here. So add new videos to the top of the playlist. If I want, I can turn that on or click on it and turn it off. Another thing with the videos here, if for some reason I want this video to come up here, all I have to do you see how my cursor changed to the hand? Click on it and move it around. Again, I have 3 dots here. You've got some of the same things you could do in other places. So there's multiple ways to do the same thing. It allows for differentiation and how your brain is set up. So don't panic. How you do it might be different than someone else, but multiple ways to do the same thing. So again, yeah, you can, when you put a YouTube video out there in Google Slides or Google Forms, advertisements, comments aren't there as well. So you can also do YouTube captioning. If you own the video, then you can add that. If that's something you're interested in, you can click there, click on this link to look at that later. So again, when I'm not in the presentation mode, this is still linked. I just have to click twice, once here and then once here. If I was in the presentation mode, all I would have to do is just click on here. But again, since I'm switching back and forth to different apps, I'm staying out of the presentation mode. All right, if you look here at slide 10, I've got a challenge here. Do you have to do these? No, it's just try to put these here to get your brain thinking. Okay, I just went over this information. This is a lot to learn. Will you remember everything? If you're new to YouTube, probably not. Even if you're not new to YouTube, you might not. So again, everyone's different, but feel free at some time if you want to jog your memory to see what you think you've learned about YouTube. I threw these challenges in there as well.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
Here's another question. If your channel is private and you want to share videos with students, do we mark it as unlisted or private?
Well, when you create a channel, each video could be public, private, or unlisted. So if they wanted to, let me go back to YouTube. If they wanted, let me pull it up here. So what they're asking, make sure I'm understanding what they're asking. So if you want students to see it, if they go through your YouTube channel, you'll need to make it public. But if you just copy it and give it to students, like right here, this video is unlisted, or this one's private, I can still click here and share it and put the link to the students, but it's just not, if anybody just went out there to search my YouTube channel, they wouldn't see this video. Does that make sense? So it's okay if you make it private or unlisted, but if you're sharing it to them through a link. But if you're wanting them to see it on your YouTube channel and that's how they're going to access it, then you'll want to make sure it's public. So great question.
Leslie, could you give a thumbs up if that was answering your question? Is there something in the chat for us? I can't see everyone.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and what is it Breck said to put something in chat as well? So yeah, that works. So again, I will, with YouTube, that it was a little bit harder for me to understand and use it, or to understand it until I started to use it a lot more. So hopefully it will get easier, and this will give you a start to understand YouTube and go out there and use it. If you are uploading videos, you know, if you're doing a screencast or whatever of recording, all you have to do is come over here and upload video. If you don't have access to that today, again, make sure you go to your Google account and make sure you've created your channel. It used to be activating your channel, but I think it says create your channel now. And then once you do create your channel with your videos, you've got a YouTube studio. So a lot more to learn once you upload videos if you want some other options out there. All right. Kelly, any other questions on YouTube or?
I don't think so. We're looking good in the chat.
Okay. Thanks. Again, I'm going to try to get through, was it 6 different apps today in 3 hours? So the next one is Google Sites. And with Google Sites here, I'm going to show you how to create a site and basically what Google Sites are and how to navigate throughout Google Sites. There are some examples here that I put down. So for any music teachers out there, here's a music Google site and here's a counseling Google site. And I did get permission to use theirs and share this within this slide deck. So it's just basically another place to communicate. Do you have to use this? No, it can be overwhelming with all of these different tools out there, You use what you think would be best for you and your students or your district, but it's just another option out there. So on this one, this counselor, Mrs. Grimes, or her student scholar, Mrs. G, used to convey information to students and parents, because she didn't necessarily see the students at all the time. So they could go here for a resource, come up here, you can click on these different tabs, and it just takes you to a different website to give you information. So I'm going to show you how to start a Google site if this interests you. So to go to Google Sites here, I can go to the waffle, or I can even come up here to the Omnibox and type in sites.new or sites.google.com. Any of the apps out there, if you start typing in Drive or Docs, it's always drive.google.com, docs.google.com, or you can get used to coming over here to the waffle. Or I mean, there's 4 or 5 different ways you can access it. So again, you go to the way that you're most convenient or most comfortable with, but just know there's multiple ways to access it. So if I go over here to my waffle and come down here to sites, you can see I can go to sites right there. Again, if you don't have access to this, check with your district and your tech person to see if you can have access to it, if this is something that you want to use. In my classroom with teaching computer science, the students would make different apps. And so I would have them create a student portfolio with that. And I can talk more about that here in a second. But so when I go to Google Sites, this is the home page. And right here at the top, I've got templates. And I can see, again, the different templates out there: student portfolio, a class if you want to create a site for your class, a club, portfolio, restaurant, whatever it may be. You can look at these templates and how it's set up. So if I go and click on this club template, it kind of, yeah, it's a template, gives me ideas or suggestions of what to put on here. Do I have to start with a template? I don't. I'm just going to show you this one here real quick. So it's got where I can put the name of the club here, the purpose. I can put a picture here. I can delete this one and put a new one, maybe put some information here. It gives me some ideas of what to put and where to put it. If you look up here, I've got different pages that I can have them go to find out about events, or go to home here. And again, this was all created for me under the templates. But if I want to create my own, so if I know I want to create my own, I can just go to sites.new. That's another way. And that will bring up a blank Google Sites for me. So if I wanted to, right here, the page title, just give it a name. So I'll put 6th grade there. If I come up here, I can add a name for this site as well. I'll just put 6th grade, and then I'm going to put today's date. And then do you see it went up here in the top left-hand corner as well. So right here, I've got my site, nothing on it yet except the title here. I can come over here and insert a text box when I do. I can put a text box here. I can type in whatever I need to. I can make the text box, make it smaller if I want. I can put another text box in. It goes underneath there, but if I click on these 3 dots, or not these 3 dots, these looks like maybe 8 dots, I can drag this up here. I should be able to move it around. Maybe I need to make it smaller here first. I can kind of drag and drop it, kind of similar to text box within Google Slides. So I can put something else here. I can, insert images. I can insert files from my drive. I can embed things as well. I can change the layout here. So if I want to change the layout here, I've got my 2 text boxes here, and then I've got a layout here. If within this layout, so if this was a site that I wanted to create for students or parents to come here maybe to get my syllabus or any information about the class, I could. Do people have to create a Google site for their classroom anymore? They don't, because we've got Google Classroom. We didn't always have Google Classroom out there, but teachers are finding that Google Classroom is enough to get the information out there to students and parents. Even though with Google Classroom, parents can't access the classroom unless if students log into their account for the parents to see. So again, some teachers still feel like they want to create a Google site. So right here, I can hit the plus sign, and I again can upload or select an image, put a YouTube video, calendar, map, or select something from Drive. So if I want to put a YouTube video, again, I can do a search right here. I'll just use Jerry Brooks here again. And I could also do an uploaded video that I already have. So if I want this video, all I have to do is select on the video I want and then hit select. And then the video is right there on my Google site. So it will play when the kids press play once they're on it, or the parents or whoever's looking at your Google site. I can also, as you can come over here, if I want to put my syllabus in, I can put a Google Doc in. If I want to put a slideshow in, I can put a slideshow in, and then they'll have access to it. It's on the site. They don't have to go and search for it. But again, many teachers are finding that, they're using Google Classroom for this. So if I've got this slide deck in here, so then here's another way people can access the slide deck. Since I'm not viewing it, I can't go and click the different slides, but here's what they're going to see. Again, I can put a Google Form, Sheets. I have all of these options to put things. I could put an image carousel in here too, where it has one image here, and then they click on it and they can see more images that's there, but only one is showing at a time. So if I want to preview this, all I have to do is come up here and click on preview. And what I like about preview is it shows what it looks like on a computer. I can even see what it looks like on a phone or a tablet. So real quick here on the computer, so if I inserted this slide deck here, all I have to do is click on here and I can see the whole entire slide deck. So this could be another way to get information out to parents or students. They can click on slides right here and jump around. They don't have to click on this arrow right here or this arrow here, or you can have it play and it plays through the slides as well. So a lot of different options. I can make it full screen. I can put a pointer on there. And then if I click the gear, I have some other options. So this is what it's going to look like with people viewing it via a Chromebook or computer. Here's what it's going to look like on a tablet. So if kids are using a tablet to access your Google site, they can. This is what it's going to look like. And then here's what it's going to look like on a phone. And again, on the back end, I did not have to change this. I didn't have to know about HTML or programming. This is all done for me based off of the information that I put in my Google site. If I click the X, it takes me back to my working document here of the site for me to go back in and edit or change anything that I want to. If you see up here, I've got undo or redo last action, so I've got that. I just talked about inserting, but if I want to add pages, so if I teach 6th grade, here's the home page. If I want a page just for geography, I can add subpage and put in geography here. and hit done. That's all I did, and voila, look, it created this subpage for me, and it created this. So if I come up here, I can switch back and forth to home and geography. Again, I can create a subpage off of geography. I can create more subpages off of home. So if I teach math, so again, I've got different subpages here. And there is, I think in settings, a way you can change it so it's all shown up here. If not, it's like in a drop-down menu. So again, click on the three dots. The three dots, you have more options. So again, if you're not for sure about something, anytime you see a gear right here or the three dots, that means there's another menu of other options out there. So if I needed to, for some reason, to hide something from the navigation page, I can. I can duplicate a page, make something the home page. So you do have some choices there as well. You can delete. Again, if you come down here and hit the plus button, you can create a new subpage hitting the plus button as well. If I go up here to the gear, here's my navigation. I've got it the top mode. If I want it the side, I can have it come over here to the side. I've got these three lines here, and it can bring up the navigation there. So you have some choice for that. Look at, you've got the gear there as well. So multiple ways to do the same thing. The color, I've got transparent. You can change it if you would like. Right here, also another thing, if you want to kind of view, you know, if you're wanting to see how many times kids or parents are going to your site, what they're looking at, you can do Google Analytics, and you can enable this. So you can track, you know, what are they most looking at? What are they most clicking on? So that you can see where you should spend your time. This has been good for school districts to look at this too, that require their teachers to do a Google site. This was an eye-opener when they started to look at the analytics to see if parents were actually going there to look, or how long they were spending on a certain link, and or how many times it was clicked on. So that's one nice thing with the G Suite apps for education. On the back end, you can see some of the analytics to see if it's worth your time to spend more time on creating your site. Another thing with Google Sites, they just put this out there, I want to say within the last month, this announcement banner. During this COVID-19, we're seeing a lot of different businesses putting an announcement up there with different hours, or, you know, with the banking system. You know, usually a lot of banks, we haven't been able to go in and bank. We could just do it through drive-through. So with the banner, you know, they can put any kind of message here. You can change the banner color. You can even put a link or a button label. And then right here, here's my banner. It shows right up there. So again, if you want it to stand out, you might want to change the color, go back and you have access to change it. If you, at any time you want the banner to go away, all you have to do is go back to the announcement banner, and I can turn off the banner and it takes it off just like that. So you can put it on, take it off at any time. So again, that's under the gear, and that's the settings. Another thing you might see, we've got three dots up here. So again, with the three dots, you can see the version history of it. You can duplicate the site if you need to. If you want to learn more about Google Sites, you could take a tour and go that way. One other thing down here, I didn't go over themes. Again, you do have some choice in the theme. You've got some choices here. You can go to the paint bucket and choose the color. If you know the RGB number, the color code for it, you can put that in to get that color exactly as well. Font style, got some different choices here. And then if you scroll down, you can see you've got, within the different themes, you have some different font styles you can choose as well. So once you have your site completed, if you're ready to publish it, you can publish it. It creates a web address here for you. You do have control over who can view your site. So right now it's set up, the default is usually set up within your school district. But if you go over here to manage, you can change who sees that. It shows who's the owner. If I go up here to the gear, right now if I do add collaborators, they would have editing rights, meaning they could publish, change permissions, and add new people. So be careful if you don't want to add a collaborator. And then right here, the links vary, change. So here's the draft. It's restricted. I don't want anyone to see it because it's just a draft. But when it's out of draft, who do I want to see it? Anyone with the link or people within the Learning Technology Center. And then right now, published site, again, restricted, only people with the link, people within my school district, or do I want it public? Anybody who's out there searching can find this information. So kind of going back to the portfolios, usually the portfolios, we didn't publish those Google Sites. It was just a place for the students to put their work, to embed it all in one place. They had a nice site there that they could go back to and look at what they created in computer science class. So that's a lot about Google Sites. Again, until you get time to play around with it, hopefully it will get easier for you to manipulate. But the purpose today is to introduce you to some of these apps out there if you haven't looked at them, and hopefully get you started on using them if you see a need and a purpose in your life or in your classroom.
Hey, Lisa, there was a question about this.
Okay.
How do people know you have a site? Do you create a site address too? You kind of just went over that. Did that answer that question, Cynthia? Well, I'm waiting for her to answer that. Another question is, can you link your Google Sites page to your Google Classroom?
You sure can. So what I could do, copy this link here, and then just put it in when you add a link in your Google Classroom. You can do that, yeah.
Okay. And then back to Cynthia, how do people know you have a site, and do you create the site address too?
No, Google creates it here for you. If you want something different, I could change that by just hitting the backspace, but it's just pulling it from what I've named it. So then if I just deleted the date, I just named it 6th grade, then when I'm ready, I can publish it. And at any time, you can unpublish it as well. So yeah, great questions.
All right, that's all.
Okay, let me, again, I put this challenge in here again for you to kind of maybe help you go through this to see what you know how to do yourself, what you still need to learn. But again, don't beat yourself up. You're learning this. It does take some time and trial and error to understand it. I remember using Google Sites for the first time in my classroom. I didn't know what I was doing, but just having someone explain, take a few minutes to explain some things to me, it gave me the confidence then to go out and try it, make mistakes. Sometimes with the students, I would tell them, hey, I'm learning this too. They could see me as a learner. And it kind of boosted their confidence as well if they knew something that I didn't know, that if they taught me something. So sometimes then I would use the students, if they taught me something, I would give them the opportunity to teach the rest of the class. So that's a good thing right now, even during remote learning. How could students teach other kids in their classes? They could do screencasts or recordings of their screen and their voice, and explain how to do something, whether it's a math problem or how to maneuver around in one of the apps here in the G Suite for education. Because the kids like seeing other kids. It gives them a purpose to do some of this work as well. If they know who their audience is, the audience isn't just going to be the teacher. I know my students started to ask that a lot and ask, well, who's going to see this work? If they thought I was the only one going to see it, they didn't put much effort into it. If they knew that maybe the school or other students in their class were going to see it, they did put a little bit more effort into it. So, you know, think about that, and hopefully that will help empower some of your students to do some more. So feel free to go back, look at those examples. If you go out there on the internet too, you'll see a lot of examples as well. If I go back here to just the waffle and go to sites again. So when I'm in sites, I showed you earlier. So I went to new Google Sites because Google they switched over to the new Google Sites a while back, but they still have it looking like this. And I just always go to new Google Sites. You can create a blank one from here, but you might have these templates here. And then right here, it does show me all of my sites that I've created or that I have in my Google account. Again, I can go to any of the sites, click the 3 buttons. I can rename them, remove them, or open this in a separate tab. I will tell you this, when I am going to my Google Sites, I usually don't go to the waffle. I usually go to my Drive to open up my documents. The only time I might go to the waffle here was maybe in the beginning when I started to understand this, the Google and you know how I can access everything. But to get the templates, I would look here, but then anymore I just do the shortcut. I do sites.new to get me a new blank site. So again, hopefully that helps, gives you a little, enough for you to play around with it, and hopefully you have more questions. So hopefully this training will create more questions in you, and because that means that you're participating and you're trying to learn. So you can always ask questions in the chat. I'll stay on afterwards too for a little bit, and then you have my email address that you can email me as well. If it was in person, I would love to have more interaction and more questions as well. So just like with this remote learning, we are all learning and changing how we teach. So the next thing here is Google Drive. Before I start that, I will let you know we will have a break after I go over Google Drive. And then we'll come back and then go over the other 3 apps here. So on Google Drive, think of it as a file cabinet. Here's some of the skill set that I do want to cover today during this training. And the question is, how do you get to, how do you go to your Google Drive? So again, a couple ways I could go. Come up here, click a new tab. I can type in drive.google.com. I could come over here and go to the waffle and go to my Drive. One thing about this waffle, if you see your apps, you know, if my Drive was way down here, do you see what I just did? You can click on the apps and you can move the icon around the page here within your apps. So, you know, if you use Jamboard a lot, you can move that up. If you use Keep a lot, you can move that around wherever you'd like. So another option, I have Google Drive. I go to, you know, I have it open every day. And it's here in my shortcuts. If it's not here in my shortcuts, I might find it here, or I can add it here, add a shortcut. I can give it a name and then copy and paste the link here to add a shortcut here. I can always remove a shortcut as well. I've got 3 dots here, and I can remove that shortcut of the Google Maps as well. Another thing, I don't know if you just saw what I did. I closed the tabs to the right of this tab. If you notice, some of these tabs have names on them, some don't. So if I go to my Google Drive from here, it's got Google Drive here. But here, I actually have my Google Drive up here. I've got it pinned. The reason why I pinned some of these tabs is because so I don't accidentally close them. Or if I get a bunch of tabs open, I just right click on a tab, and did you see I hit close tabs to the right? So if for some reason I want this tab pinned, I can pin it. It takes away the X, so I can't accidentally close it. But if I right click on it, I can unpin it or I can close it. So I've got some choices there. But I just wanted to show you about the pinning and how when you right click on the tabs, you have other options. So right here, I went into my drive. And you may like my drive, you may not, that's fine. Again, technology and differentiation, it meets people where they're at. So I do have my quick access here. This shows me what I have access today. And if I like that, I can keep that there. If I don't like that, again, go up here to the gear and I can go to settings. And right here with settings, I have some choices. So if you look under here with suggestions, it says make relevant files handy when you need them in quick access. If I click off of that, do you see? I didn't even exit. I didn't even hit done. It just took that away, my quick access. I tried to take the quick access away for a while. I put it back on there because I have just gotten used to it there. Another thing I've got here, this says surface important people and files and shared with me. So the people who share files with me most often, they're up at the top, and you'll see in my shared drive what I mean by that in a minute. I can also make my priority drive right here a default for my home page as well. I don't use my priority drive that much, so I haven't. So again, I've got those choices there. And then when I'm done, I just hit done and I go back to my drive. So again, think of your drive as you're a file cabinet, and this is where all of your files are located. Anytime you're in an app, they automatically save to your drive. You don't have to worry about hitting a save button. So sometimes your drive can be organized or disorganized. Is it okay if your drive's a hot mess? It is. Drive allows for differentiation. So right now, if you look at my drive, I've got all of these folders here. It looks pretty organized. I've got, if you look at the folders, some have colors on them, some have little people in them, some have emojis by them, but for the most part, it looks organized. Well, looks can be deceiving. If I keep scrolling underneath my folders, I've got files. So I've got a bunch of files here that I have not put in folders. Sometimes this happens when I'm at work in a workshop. I'll create things and then I don't necessarily always take the time to go get it organized. Again, everyone's different. Some people out there right now, you're probably cringing at my drive and thinking you couldn't survive with files not in a folder. Again, it's fine. So if you look here, so I've got this, it's basically alphabetized ABC order, except if I put an emoji in front of my title of my folder, the emoji comes first. This one I just happen to have an apple, so yes, it's first. But if you look at HyperDocs, I've got an emoji there, put an emoji there in front of Book Creator. If I put the emoji at the end, it doesn't affect the alphabetical, the ABC order here. If for some reason I wanted to change the sort direction for it to go descending Z to A, I could just click on this arrow right here and it changes it. So you do have some choice in that matter. You can to sorting your folders. So if I wanted to do that, to change the name or put a emoji in front of it, I would just right click on any of the folders. Here's where I can share a folder. I can add the shortcut to the drive. I can move a folder within another folder if I want to. Again, this was just all by right clicking. I can add it to start. When I add it to start, it's just another folder over here that is quick access basically for me to go instead of needing to look through, go through my folders if I have lots of folders. Here's how I can rename it, change color. Again, there's different reasons behind why people might want to put colors there. I can search within this folder. So if I have hundreds of files within this folder, I can search within it. I can look at view details. So over here, it says when it was modified, opened, and created. It gives me some information. Its locations in my drive. If I want, I can put a description. So I've been right-clicking to get to all of this. I can even download an entire folder, or I can remove it. But when I went over to details, did you see when I click on this folder, I've got some other options here. So there's, again, a couple ways to do the same thing. I can create, get a shareable link, add collaborators to this folder. I can remove it. Again, I've got the 3 buttons, same options right up here. And then I can view details there again as well. So right now I'm in grid view, but I could change this to list view. So again, it's what you get used to, but you do have options to change grid view to list view. For the most part, I use grid view, but anytime I switch it to list view to maybe look at the details of who the owner is, maybe when it was last opened by me. So you get used to what, whichever view you like there. Another thing here, so I talked about, this is my drive. I've got shared drives here. So a shared drive is where your district who owns the Google domain, they could create a shared drive that this teachers, they may put teachers that are working within a PLC have a shared drive so they can put all the documents there. This could be another place that administrators could put information they want to disseminate to you in a shared drive as well. This is usually better than just putting some of these, adding files to an email, because during the day when you're teaching with kids in the room, that you might take a quick look at the email and then think to hopefully go back to look at it and you forget. So then, if it's in the shared drive, it's, where it's at, and you can go back to it and look through it there. So the shared drive is owned by the Google domain, but it is another way to disseminate information within a group of people. So you can see how many people are in these different groups. So another way to again share information. Talked about priority on the quick access, or on the under the gear. If I want to make this my home page, the priority, what I could do, I could create a workspace. And so back in January, I tried this out, and as you can see, I haven't added more to it. It's what you get used to. This priority drive is, or this section within your drive is fairly new. So, if I was working with a bunch of material and I wanted it to all organize it on my drive, I can see here's a slide deck I'm working on. Here's a Google Doc that I'm using for that workshop. And I can just put it all in one place. It's visual, it's right there. But again, I'm, using, I guess, how I've always done it. And I haven't went back to use this workshop or this priority space more. But if you do, all you have to do is hit create, give it a name, and then you can add documents to it at any time. So if I click on these 3 dots here, I've got other options I can do as well. I can view the workspace, and I can add files here. So here's some suggested files it's asking, do I want to add? If so, I can add it. And so yeah, it's another way to organize your files that you're working on. Shared with me. Now, if you think my Google Drive is a hot mess, wait until you get to go to shared with me. If you see here under quick access, this does have the people who share things with me most often. If I go up here to the gear and go to settings, remember I had a place where I can surface important people and files and shared with me. If I don't want that, I can take that off, and then that goes, whoops, I clicked on, and that goes away. Maybe not right away. So I'm refreshing the page up here to see if that goes away. And that went away. So again, if I want that back, all I have to do is go to the gear and go to settings, and I can put that back. I will tell you, anytime you're playing around with settings, maybe do one thing at a time so you can see how that affects your drive or affects your app that you're in to see what you like. Again, you might have to go up here to refresh it, and then it brings up the current settings that you selected. So the shared with me is going to be a hot mess. Right now, there's no workaround, and that's okay, because here's whether this is your shared with me drive or your drive, Google allows you to search within your drive. So either your drive could be a hot mess, even your students' drives, they could be a hot mess, but and that just might drive you crazy. Don't look at it. Teach them how they can go about finding things they need. So right up here in search and drive, click on this down arrow. And when you click on this down arrow, this will give them a bunch of different filters they can select. So right here, type. If they know that it was a presentation that they were working on and they just can't find it anywhere, they can click on presentations, owner. Well, who owned it? Was it me? Was it not me? Or a specific person or anyone? So they could click on that. So if it's not owned by me, they could put that. Or if they know a specific person owned it, they could put in that person's name or email address. It might pop up. They could even search in trash. As long as they haven't emptied their trash can, they could search in trash. They can search date modified, item name, maybe enter words found in the file, shared with me, or shared with, enter a name or email address that it was shared with, and then whatever they want to click on, and then hit search. And this will bring up, here's something that was searched or was shared with me. It was a slide deck, a Google Slides, and it was shared from my personal account. And this is what came up. So much easier than, going back here was shared with me, searching through all of this and trying to find it this way. That hopefully will save you time. Now, if there's something that was shared with you that you want to add to your Google Drive, you can do that. So if I wanted to put this in my Google Drive, I could then organize it. So this is a farm animals list. This is working with younger students here. So what I could do, I can right click on this and I can add the shortcut to my drive. So then when I add it to my drive, I can just add it to my drive if I want, or I double click on it and then I can add it to the folder I want within my drive. And then once I click on the folder, I hit add shortcut, then it's in that folder. So if for some reason you don't have a lot of stuff shared with me and you want to organize everything you have, you'll first have to add it to your drive, add the shortcut to your drive, and then when you add it to your drive, you can organize it from there. So if you look at my shared with me, I mean, I've got so many documents out there that have been shared with me that no way would I even want to attempt to start to adding all of this to my drive and organizing it. If you see something in here that you don't remember was shared with you, if you clicked on a link on a web page, or you had an email and you clicked on a link, it might then pop up here and shared with me. So that's how you might be getting a lot of information, a lot of documents or files here and shared with me. If I go to recent, again, this is an algorithm Google does on the back end. It, you know, all of your recent documents, it just puts here things that I've opened up today, yesterday, last week, last month, and so forth. Starred, again, if you ever star emails, sometimes you can star documents or folders that you use a lot, and instead of going and searching for them, you just know to go to the starred folder. Is everything still in my drive? It is, but if I don't have a lot of things in starred, it might be easier just to go to starred instead of me waiting for my computer to load for me to scroll down my page. And then trash, you know, I was working with some teachers the other day. They purposely sometimes put things in trash because that's their organization, and they just don't go and empty their trash. They just, that's just a folder they put things in, and they know to go there to look. Now, occasionally I will empty my trash. Again, you don't have to. If you look here, you know, things that were last month, earlier this year, older. So things are kept there until you actually go and empty the trash. If you look right here in my education account, it says I've got 3.7 gigabytes used. If you, does anybody, before I tell you this, does anybody know how many gigabytes do we have to use in an education account versus a personal account? Feel free to put it in chat if you know. If not, I'll talk about it here in a second. If I go over to my personal account and look at my drive in my personal account, it shows 2.9 gigabytes of 15 gigabytes used. So I don't know if anybody answered that in chat or not, but in your personal account, you only have 15 gigabytes. In an education account, you have unlimited storage. So just know that you don't have to be worried about emptying your trash or deleting things because you're going to run out of room in your education account. Okay, so if you think your drive is a hot mess and you've got plenty of extra time on your hands and you want to start getting organized, let me show you a few things that you can do to help your organization. So right here I've got folders, and let's say I wanted this to go up to one of my folders. Let's say I wanted to go up to the Apple folder. Do you see how long this is taking? That takes too much time for me. So what I can do here, do you see this drop down arrow over here by my drive? If I click on that, look what happens. All of my folders are right there. My files aren't, but just my folders. So what's the purpose of this? What I can do here then, I can drag, let's say I want this to go into my Apple folder. I can drag this by holding down and clicking my mouse and dragging it over here, and I can put it in Apple. What if there's a bunch of documents I want to put all in one folder? So what I could do, I'm thinking of 3 different ways here. If I want, let's say these, how many is this? 12 documents or 12 files here. I put my mouse at right underneath the word files, and then I'm just dragging it. And I can drag all of those. Do you see how those are highlighted compared to these? It's highlighted here. Click on any one of those that are highlighted and drag it over here to whatever folder I want. How many files is that? It shows 12. If you see the number in the upper right-hand corner, it shows 12. So I could put 12 of those files into blended learning. If I don't, I just come drag over here and they're dispersed back here into my file. Now, another way I could do this, if I click on this one and hold down the shift key and click on this one, again, I can, by holding down the shift key on the first one and the last one, it will do the same thing. I can, again, grab it, drag it over there wherever I want it to go. Let's say there's a bunch of files, but they're not in order. Let's say it's this file, this one. Anybody know what key am I holding down to select several different files that aren't right next to each other? Okay, and I seeing some people say it too. Yep, Control if you're on a Chromebook or a laptop. If you're on a MacBook, it's Command. So yep, the Control key allowed me to do that. Then I just, again, click on one of the files that I highlighted and I can drag and drop over here into the folder. So again, just some tips here if you do want to get organized. Again, some of these tips share with your students if they're needing to, if you want them maybe to get organized again, but just know it could be a hot mess. You could come up here and use the filter for searching your drive and search that way as well. If I come over here and click on this drop down arrow, it takes away all the folders. But if you saw this, I can have folders within folders. Within folders, so I didn't share the HyperDoc folder, but I shared a folder within the HyperDocs. And you can do that. Later on, when we talk about Classroom, I have a Classroom folder that Google created once I created my classroom. And all of my classrooms, I have a folder for all of my classrooms to organize all of the student work in those classes. To get back to my home page, what I could do, I can just come up here to get back to home and drive. Just click on the word drive or click on the triangle. And it takes me back to home of my Google Drive. If some of you are switching over some of your Microsoft documents over to Google Drive, here's a shortcut way. You can come up here to the gear and go back to settings. I can have all of my uploads be converted to Google Docs if I wanted to. My suggestion, try with and without this on to see which one you like. If you do want everything converted to your Google Docs editor format, it saves you a few clicks and it does it for you on the back end when you convert those files over. Some people might not want them converted over, so just make sure you have that unchecked. So again, a lot within Drive here, but hopefully that will get you started understanding Google's organization and where things go in Drive.
Got a question for you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Is there an easy way to delete multiple documents in your shared drive quickly?
Yeah, great question. So I don't know who asked that, but thank you. So if I'm in my shared with me drive, same thing, same concept of me moving files over to the folders. I can highlight them by dragging and dropping my mouse. And voila, I can just hit delete or right click on it and hit remove. I can hold down the shift key if I want everything in between this one and let's say this one. And then again, remove, delete, or the command key if they're not all in order. Yeah, great question. What are your other questions on Google Drive?
That's the only one in the chat box.
Okay.
We did have a comment that said, I thought I created a workspace, but now I can't find it. I'm not exactly sure where to go with that one, but.
You checked in priority. Can you go and click on hidden workspaces? See if you hid any? Because if you hide, because you do have the option to hide it. So I clicked on hide, and then I come down here to my hidden workspace, and here's my workshop materials. I can unhide it. So check there to see if that works.
She said thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, and thank you. If I don't know if I have two screens up, so I've got my chat on my other screen, so I'm not always looking at that. So I appreciate all of your help, Kelly. All right, we will take a break here.
Oh, there's one more. I'm sorry, I just came in.
No, you're fine.
How do I move worksheets I created on Word into Google Drive?
Okay, yeah, great question. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I didn't go back here to look at my skill set here and see what else I wanted to share. That's one thing I skipped over. And I skipped over this button altogether. My apologies. So see, thank you for asking. This is why I love questions. This is why I missed the in-person interaction here too. So if I go up here to new, this is where I can create a new folder as well. So if I don't have a folder here and I didn't create it when I was adding something new to my drive, I can just click on create new folder right here, give it a name and create it. But to answer that question that was asked, I can do file upload, or I can even upload an entire folder at a time. So if for right now, I'll do a file upload, but it's the same concept. I can click on file upload, and then when I do so, I need to go, where is the the file that I want to upload? So if I have it in my downloads, if I have it on my desktop, documents, go to wherever you have it. So I'll go to my downloads. And let's say I want, oh yeah, I do need to upload this. So this is a PDF I created of the slide deck today that I need to give you so that if you want to print off this slide deck, you can. So a couple different ways. So I can click on here and hit open, and it will upload to my Google Drive. When I do it this way, I can't organize it into the folder I want. Another way I can do this, so if I have it in my downloads, and if I just created it into a PDF recently, I have it at the bottom of the screen. So right down here, what I can do, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put it in my online workshops. And right here, I can just drag, whoops. I can just drag this into my folder called online workshops. So that's one way you can do it. And that saves you a few clicks up here. Or if you go to new, I can go to file upload, and then it's in my downloads, click on it, and then click open. And it's going to, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, it's saying uploading one item. It says less than a minute left, and it's uploading it as a PDF, but I can't organize it right now to my folder. It doesn't give me that option. So where is it going to go? It's just going to go into my drive. And it's taking a bit. We'll see if it goes fairly quick. And I'm curious, maybe it will go into if I have the folder open. I guess I've never done it with the folder open. So then it's saying one upload complete, and let me see. And it did come into the folder when I had that folder open. So I guess that's what you want to make sure you do when you upload files or folders. If you want it to go into a certain folder ahead of time, just make sure you have that folder open in Google Drive, like I did with the online workshops, and it went right here. So here's the PDF. So if I want to, then I'll right click on here. I want to get a shareable link so that you can print this if you want to. So I just right clicked on there. Do you see where it says link sharing off? I just turn it on there. Right now it's set, the default is always the Learning Technology Center. Whoops, I clicked off of it. think my internet's starting to go slow. Let me try one more time here. It's saying my link's copied to the clipboard, but I need to go back in there and change the settings that anyone with the link can have access to it. Because right now, it's set to the Learning Technology Center. So what I've got, I can come here and change it. And where it says Learning Technology Center, I'll change it to anyone with the link. And anyone with the link, I'll put you as viewers. And then hit done. Whoops, I needed to copy the link too. So anyone on the internet with this link can view. I'll copy the link. Okay, the link's copied. So then what I can do back here on slide 2, here's the printable PDF file. I hadn't created this yet. I can create insert a link. So to insert a link, I can just come up here and click on insert link, or I do this so often every day that I just use the shortcut keys. The shortcut keys on a Mac is Command K. On a Chromebook or laptop, it's Control K. And then I can just paste the link in here. So now you should be able to have access to this file and print it in a PDF format if you so choose to. So showed you a little bit more than what you asked there. But again, hopefully you can just go up here to File Upload, and then you can do a file at a time. If you've got a folder, put them all in a folder and do a folder upload as well. One other thing here in Drive, yet another place you can create a Google Doc. You can open up a new doc in Drive, Sheets, Slides, and if you see more, here's other options you have. Sometimes you might have other apps that integrate with Drive as well. So here's Pear Deck. That's a separate company, but it does integrate here within Google Drive as well. So there is a lot to learn. Again, don't be hard on yourself if you're just learning the Google environment and about all of these apps. Will you use all of these apps in your classroom? You may not, but it's good to know some of the choices that you have out there. Okay, Annette says thank you. So hopefully I got your question. Thank you for asking that.
And Bill asked right above that, can you share a workspace?
Can you share a workspace? You know what, under priority, good question. I don't know that answer. If anybody knows, please let us know, or if anybody wants to Google that. It doesn't, can I collaborate on it? It's saying I have a limit of 25 files in it, but I don't see a spot where you could share it. But again, I don't know for sure. If someone finds out the answer, let us know. And you know, that's the great thing about technology. As you can see, I don't know everything. Google's constantly changing, but hopefully you do become more comfortable in not knowing everything, and you can look it up to see or collaborate with other people or collaborate with your students, you know, give them the challenge. So, all right, so Aubrey jumped in and said she couldn't find it either, but if anybody can find it, please let us know. It is 1:46 here. We will take a short 10-minute break. When we come back, we will go over Google Docs, Meet, and Classroom. So again, hopefully you're not overwhelmed. This is kind of introducing you to some of the other apps out there and maybe some ways you can use it in your own classroom or personal life. So we will come back at 1:57 here and cover that. So feel free if you want to turn off your video, you can leave it on, it doesn't matter. We'll start again here at 1:57. I'm also glad to see a lot of familiar faces out there that's joining us. So hope everyone is doing well during this time, and we'll get started on Google Docs. So if you think about what we went over already in the first almost 2 hours, we went over YouTube, Google Sites, and Google Drive. Again, if you forgot what we covered, don't panic.
We see, oh, I think she's real cute.
I think down here the things are weird, Alex, but
Okay, so that's one advantage of Zoom. You can go and mute people, because again, most of the time people don't realize that they're unmuted. But I think when I set this up, have a password to help with security, and the link should have only came to you via Kelly from Jacksonville and or the ROE, so that it wasn't posted out there on the website for anyone who could just join. And if you've heard of the word Zoom bombing, that I haven't, knock on wood, had that ever happen to me, but I've had some colleagues who that has happened to. So that means just people just come in and start talking, or maybe having inappropriate pictures for their profile pictures, or saying inappropriate things. So anyway, so going back to the docs. Oh, it didn't ask you for a password, someone said in chat. If it didn't ask you for a password, I think then in this case it was only given out to the ROE and Jacksonville School District. So maybe that's why I didn't set it up with a password. So going back here to Docs, then here's the overview we're taking a look at in Docs. Again, I can go to my tab, and I can go to my waffle, go to Docs this way. I can type in docs.google.com. I can even type in docs.new. So multiple ways to get to the Docs. Let me just go over here to the waffle and go to Docs that way to show you. There are templates.
We're not screen sharing right now.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks again, Chad. So I went over to my waffle, went to Docs. When I do that, then I do have my templates to show up here. One thing with templates I want to show you, I've got the general templates that Google loads in on the back end. Some school districts can turn that off. So if you don't see the same templates that I have, or you don't see templates at all, maybe talk to your Google admin who's in charge of your Google domain to see if they can turn that on. And then another thing with templates, you can have templates in there just for your school district. So if there's certain Google Docs that your school district wants you to use all the time, they can put them in here under the template gallery, and the tab should be of your school district here as well. So some other options there. Again, have a conversation with your Google admin to see if that's in accordance with your district policy. So right here, I can search within Docs, but again, I usually, if I know I want to go and open up a doc, I won't go to my waffle and to Google Docs. I will go to my Drive. I pin my Drive up here. This is how my workaround is that I always just go to Drive to open up the documents that I want. But again, is that the right way? No, it's just the way I've gotten used to, and you can go and open up things here from your Docs as well. Here I can create a new document, and then right here, as you can see, I've got the grid view or list view. The list view shows me who it's owned by, when it was last opened by me, and then I also have 3 dots here that I can remove or open in a new tab right from here. And then you can see if it's shared with people, and then previous 3 days. So again, you will get more familiar with this setup the more you use it. So instead of me going straight to a new doc, let's go, let's see if I have the share settings correctly. On slide 15, can you open this Google document right here? So click on it once. When you click on it, then does it give you a link? And it should be this document right here. Now, again, if you want to with this, okay, good. You've got editing rights to this. So could any of you delete things in here if you wanted? Could you type things in here? Yeah, and I want you to. Now, I know there's, I forget, there's what, 63 participants in here. And if you accidentally delete something, it's fine. You're learning that, oh, right now Anonymous Armadillo is adding things, maybe deleting things. You've got editing rights here. Now, if we were in a classroom and we had maybe only 30 students, we could maybe tell the students which row to take. I could put numbers here. I looked for an add-on where if it would put numbers in, like in Google Sheets, but I couldn't find an add-on. So if anybody knows if there's an add-on, an easy way to add numbers here when you're talking about a lot of people. So what I can do you see I don't have enough rows here? So I can right-click on them and I can insert 7 rows below. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly insert rows so that each person can take their own row and type in here. So I'm going to try to go from the bottom so I'm not messing it up. And some of you are already figuring out how to do this. Don't panic if you don't, and don't panic if you're making mistakes. We're all in this together. I don't know if I've created enough rows for everyone. And so so here's a Google Doc. Here's a great way we can collaborate. We're all throughout the region here. We don't have to be in one location, and we can work on this. A couple things I want to point out. So right now we're seeing Anonymous Kiwi type this. How do we know which anonymous animal we are? We can watch as you're typing. So right now, if Kristen doesn't mind me talking about her, she is the anonymous Kiwi. I think that's what it says. And how do I know? Because she's typing. The anonymous koala, it looks like it's Tara Moore right above her. So again, scroll down, start typing where no one else is. How do you know? See if there's a cursor there. If there's no cursor there, then you could start typing. And if you're afraid of typing over someone, just maybe keep scrolling down to see. With so many people working on this document, there may be some lag, and I'm getting some lag here, so I might actually get out of this document here in a second. But let me talk, while I'm trying to scroll back up, let me talk about the anonymous animals. The reason why you are showing up all as anonymous animals is because I shared this link through you, through the slide deck. I didn't share it through your Google account. So if I would have sent you this link through Google Classroom or through your email, it would come up here, either your picture or your initial. So some of you, since I'm on this document, you may see my picture up there. Again, if I would have shared this through your Google Classroom, Google account, I would see who's working on here. So most of the time when students are collaborating, you'll be able to see who's doing what, and you wouldn't be anonymous. But anytime you share a link out with someone, and not through their Google account, or if you share something out there on the web, out there on the internet, and you give people access to it, they would show up as an anonymous animal. Now, which anonymous animal are we? Google just randomly picks. There's over, if someone wants to Google how many there are, I know there's over 150 because I've had over 150 people in the workshop and everyone was able to access the document. But I will tell you, the more people were accessing the document at the same time, there seems to be some lag with that. But usually within the classroom, it's not so bad. And then also another thing, usually when you are collaborating on, and the students are collaborating with each other, they're only collaborating usually with a few people. So if you know you just deleted everything, can you go and hit undo to see if it can come back? I don't know if on your screen, if everything just went away. Someone accidentally just hit maybe delete or highlighted everything, but if you can go up and hit undo. So this is one thing, if, you know, as many people as working on this, I don't know a workaround of how to get everything back. The only way I can get that back is whoever maybe accidentally deleted that, they just went up and hit undo. If not, as you can see, oh, maybe they just put spaces. Okay. All right. So as you can see, oh, we're still now missing everything else.
Yeah, don't you think?
So don't panic if that was you. No big deal. You might not even know that was you that deleted. I don't know. Are you guys seeing the same thing? Everything's gone? Okay. I'm just seeing if I can hit undo, redo. All right, so this was a first, not a biggie. So if people want to go back and, you know, redo what they just did, it looks like then I would need to, if someone wants to add rows back in there then as well, all you have to do is highlight. The more you highlight, so if I highlight 4 rows here, then I can get 4 rows I can add in. But as you can see, so you can get the gist, you can see real time people collaborating on here and accessing it, a great way, you know, that you can work with other school districts, other teachers, and then for students to maybe pair up and work with others as well. Yep, so if someone wants to create more rows here for me, that would be great. If not, no big deal. So a couple things. So here, you know, going back to what Kristen, she put her favorite tech tools, Google Docs, Classroom, Zoom. So if I wanted to, instead of putting comments right here on what she's typing, I could highlight this. And if I highlight it, do you see where I have a comment? I can add a comment right here. And you can do this too, because you're all editors of this document. And then I could add a comment here and I could agree with her or, you know, put whatever I want and then comment. And then, so she could agree back. She could, you know, say something else. Anybody that is an editor of this document could also put comments here as well. So if anybody wants to try, feel free to highlight something, put a comment. Another thing with this comment here, I could, let's see if I know, let's say Kelly typed something on here, or here, Cindy typed something. Okay, so she put YouTube here. And if I wanted to, I can put use the plus sign or the @ symbol. And what I can do, I think Cindy's in my list. Yep, I've emailed Cindy before. So I started to type her email address. It came up, it recognized it since I use this Google account to email Cindy. And I can assign something to Cindy. So, you know, I highlighted YouTube and I'll say, maybe, can you please expand on why you chose YouTube. Okay, you really don't have to, Cindy. I'm just using this as an example. Whoops. So as you can see, it does check my spelling. I can go back and make corrections, and I still made a mistake. Okay, here we go. And I hit assign, and then I click on assign. So what's going to happen over here, this is assigned to Cindy. She's going to get an email that she has something assigned to her, and then it's also here on the document. So again, even if you're not going back and typing anything, that's fine. You can still go back in and add a comment. And then, so Cindy, what she could do, so if she didn't have the document up right away, or right now while I'm putting comments, she'll get an email, and then, so she can open up the document and she can go and respond to this. Once she responds to that, or anybody want to try clicking on the check and see what that does? Even though this was assigned to Cindy, does everybody have the ability to click on that check mark? Okay, someone did, thank you. So what happened? Did it disappear? Cindy wasn't done with it. It's fine, no worries. Okay, so if I come up here, do you see this comment box here? This allows me to open comment history. So when I click on open comment history, this shows me the comments, what time and what day. This is still there. If you needed to, you could reply to this or you could resolve this. And then here's someone, it shows Jill marked it as resolved. If for some reason this wasn't supposed to be resolved, we can reopen it and it'll pop back up here. If you look down here, Chris marked this as done. Perfect, thank you, Chris. And again, we can reopen it if we don't want it as done or someone marked it as done and we didn't want it done. But I will caution you, again, a few students might choose to share a doc and this is their way of passing notes or talking and communicating with each other. Again, they could put comments off to the side and, oh, the teacher's coming, resolve it. But all you would have to do is come up here to the open comment history and be able to see all of their comment history here as well. So there are workarounds and there's version history. I'll show you in a bit to see who did what. So if students are working on a document together and they are assigned, it's shared with them through their Google account, you can see who does what on the document. So that's one nice thing with Google Docs. They don't, you know, if you have students who are in other classes and their partners, they're working on it, that is, they don't have to have it all open at the same time. Just in this example, we do because we're all in this workshop here together. So another thing I do want to show you real quick, how do you do, you know, to take a selfie? I remember again a few years ago learning how to do a selfie in the classroom. If you go up here to insert and you go down here to image, you can upload from computer. So if you have a picture out there, it looks like some people inserted a picture from their computer, you can do that. You can even get a picture from the web, from your Google Drive, if you use Google Photos, by URL, or here by camera. So if I click on my camera, I've got two different cameras here. So I need to look at this camera to take my photo. And when I do, when I'm ready, I just have to smile if I want, do whatever, and then just click on the camera icon. And then here, up here in the right-hand corner, it shows here's a picture if I like it. Then click insert. If I don't like it, click cancel. And then I can take another one. So if I hit insert, I don't know wherever my cursor was, it's going to insert there, but I don't remember where I had my cursor out right there. So when I'm done with that, if I don't like it, I can just click on it. I have my blue lines, I can hit delete, and voila. Google Docs wasn't made, you know, to put a lot of, you know, pictures in or images. You can, but sometimes if you don't format it, wrap the text, then it doesn't flow, the words and things you type flow nicely around it. So hit wrap text, and then you should be able to get things around it. I'm going to go ahead and just undo that because that messed up my formatting there. So you can't, going back, I appreciate the people going back and fixing things and putting more rows in. You can't see what anonymous animal you are unless if someone tells you, or you are able to see it on my share screen here. So let me go over a few other things. So that went over comments. Any questions about comments? Okay. All right, so there's comments. And then again, if this was a document that we were shared among our Google accounts, if I go to File and I go to Version History, I can see my version history. And so did Carly? She put, you can go to Version History to restore a deleted document. Could we have restored what was deleted there? I guess I'd never thought about that before. Carly, do you want to unmute and answer that if you know? Or does anybody else know?
It may not be exactly real time.
Okay, but it would have some of it instead of
Or your original document, nothing else. You can go back in and restore your original at the very least. And when I've had to do it in class before, because somebody has done that to me,
yeah,
it got most of their work, maybe not the last few minutes, but it got most of their work back up.
Okay, well, good to know. Thanks, Carly. And again, you normally wouldn't be maybe collaborating on a document, giving all of those people editing rights if you are working with that many people or that many other educators. You might give them commenting rights instead of editing rights. So that wouldn't happen. Because again, for the most part, I think most people accidentally do it in the classroom. Again, when the kids are learning, again, I think it's accident. Could students do it on purpose? They could. We could have some of these teachers here put a funny picture in here for Jill and not be her real self, but and kids could do that, but it's.
You can also use version history to go back and look at stuff that kids have added to document that they tried to delete as well.
Okay, perfect. And what Carly was talking about right there is right here at version history on the right of my screen. So you can see at what time, what was changed here. Again, you guys are all coming up as anonymous users because I shared this with you through a link. Most of the time you will be sharing it through people's accounts. So everyone here would be a different color and it would have your name. But you can see we've had a total of 106 edits. Here's the current version at 2/20, May 18th. I've got one at 2:09 and then another one here at 2:09. Oh, this one was restored from the one I created yesterday. But so if I go here, I don't know then if this would have restored some of what we had earlier. So I can just click on them. Again, as you can see, I can restore this version if I want. I can name a version. Right now, I've got all of the versions shown, but I can click on these three dots and I can name this version. I can make a copy of it. So if you have a student saying, well, I worked on this last night at 8 p.m., well, you can bring up version history to see, was it really there and did they really work on it? Or, again, if the students are working on it, one student saying they're doing their part and you can see who's done what it'll assign a different color to each student. Again, just like assigning animals, here assigning colors to the students' accounts, it's different. They don't get to pick the colors. So another way to verify who's doing what, you got that version history. How did we go to there? Went to File, and we went to version history right here. So again, I can name a current version, or I can see the version history. So just like with the slide deck, I showed you how I downloaded it into a PDF. I can do that with a doc here as well. I can even transfer it back to a Microsoft Word or a PDF, or you can see there's some different formats I can do it. But usually in the classroom, for me personally, I kept it as a Google Doc, but if for some reason needed to change it, you do have that option there. Similar to Microsoft Word, you can rename it right here. You can move it. You've got your page setup here that, again, you can change the orientation or the size, margins. You can even change page color. I know students love doing this, changing the color of their page and learning how to do that. So some different things here. One tool that I use on a daily basis is this paint tool. So if for some reason I want this font size, if it's bold, whatever it is, colored, to transfer over to some other things, I can highlight this, go up to the paint brush, and basically whatever I paint over, I highlight, it will change that exact same formatting to whatever I highlight. So that has been a time saver for me. Microsoft Word has that as well. Some of you who have been using Microsoft Word and are switching over to Google, you might notice that you don't have all of the features that you use in Word that you're used to, that they're not always here in Google. One thing with Google, I will tell, it was maybe the last 6 months, maybe it's been a year already. Google just came out with the word count. I always use that in the classroom with Microsoft Word. Believe it or not, Google just had the word count again here recently. So if there's something that you use in Word a lot and you haven't found in Google Docs, Google listens to us. So feel free, email them and let them know what you would like to see here in Google Docs. A few other things here. Couple different places I can go to get this. Down here, I have this button. It's usually just that icon there, but if I hover over it, it says Explore. I can go up here to Tools and go to Explore. So do you see when I go here to this menu bar, sometimes it has the icon if it's in other places, and then it also usually has the shortcut keys. Again, I usually always had at least 1 or 2 students who memorized shortcut keys. I always gave them a chance to tell the class the shortcut key way of doing these same things. I tend to only remember the ones that I use often. But if I go to Explore, what this allows me to do, it allows me to explore a topic here. So if I am doing a research on, I'll just say the farm, and I just type in farm and hit enter, it will search the web for me right here. I don't have to go to another tab. And I can come down here right now. I can see all results on Google. When I do that, that'll create another tab. I'm going to go back to Abe Lincoln. I usually look him up here. So if I want to look up Abe Lincoln, so here I've got some web results. Usually it first comes up with Wikipedia, and then down here I've got some other web results. So I'll look at the White House here. And when I click on the White House, I can click on this. It does create a new tab, but if I know that I got information from here, do you see this quotes right here? I can cite this as a footnote. So I've got my mouse there. So if I come here, I know I got information from here. I can cite it as a footnote. So what will happen then, it will create the one right there and then put the footnote there. That is that APA style? No, that's MLA. So that's MLA style. If I needed an APA style, if I come up here to the 3 dots, click on the 3 dots, I can change it to APA style. Go down here and cite it as a footnote. So then I can see the difference between MLA and APA. But if I see that, oh, I don't need that first one, I can just delete that. Maybe I have to delete it down here. I could, yeah, I forgot. It's going slow with this many people on it. And maybe it's my internet too. So I can just usually delete the number up there and then it goes. Okay. So this was under Explore. So here I can look at the web, and then don't forget that I can cite it as a footnote right from within searching here. I can go to images. So if there's an image I want of Abe Lincoln, again, if this is the image, all I have to do is hit the plus. It will insert the image in there. Just because of the internet being slow, I'm not going to do that to slow us down anymore, but just know that you can insert the images from here. And then also, if I know I have stuff in my drive on Abe Lincoln that I've researched, that I can also insert it or click on it and then get information from here. So created a Google site on Abe Lincoln. So again, with the Explorer feature, you can go to Web, Images, and Drive. Another thing up here with tools, did you see this voice typing? For my 13-year-old son who doesn't care to type very much, he loves this voice typing. So all he has to do, I've got my mouse there. You know what, I'm going to just create a new document real quick so that it's not lagging. And maybe it's my internet too. And I just have to go up here to Tools. And go down to voice typing. So when I click on voice typing, I've got the microphone here. When I turn voice typing on, it turns red and it shows that it's recording my voice. So everything I am saying, it is typing here, period. So it's kind of similar to voice typing if you do text messaging on your phone. And then when I want it off, all I have to do is come over here, turn it off, and it will stop picking up my voice. You will have to make sure that you do have access to your microphone and it is turned on. I know on some devices, you might have the microphone turned off, or your microphone might not be the best quality. But as you can see, then, you know, you'll still have to probably go back in and fix the punctuation. But, you know, when I put a period there, then it capitalizes the next word, but you might have to clean it up a little bit before you submit it if it's an essay. But again, it's differentiation. It helps those students from not wanting to do the assignment because it's on the computer and they have to type. Well, they don't have to type. They can do the voice typing. I think earlier I talked about a teacher not saying, or the teacher saying that voice typing wasn't an option. She had Google Docs opened, or her student had Google Docs open in Safari and not in Google Chrome. This is why you need to have these apps in Google open in Google Chrome, because they talk, play, whatever word you want to use, that they work well together. So check on that if for some reason, if some of these tools aren't working, see which web browser you are in. Again, translate document. You can translate this to several different languages. I know at one time how many there was out there, but I don't have that memorized right now. Someone wants to look that up to see how many languages you can translate that to. Feel free. Now, some people have said it's not, you know, there's a little discrepancy. Again, like if you're translating it to Spanish, depends on if they're coming from the Spanish from Spain versus the Spanish from Mexico. There could be a few differences, but at least it's a lot better than just the English and they couldn't read anything. If it's Spanish, they can hopefully read more and I guess understand what you're trying to get through the letter. So again, that's under tools. You can translate the whole entire document. So again, I've heard pros and cons on that, but mainly pros, that it's helped out, especially in districts where the Spanish population and a lot of parents who speak Spanish rather than English, it helps with that. So under tools, you've got, spelling and grammar. So feel free to take a look at those. What else you got here? You got the activity dashboard. Here you can see the viewers and who you've shared it with. Right now, I haven't shared it with anyone. I can see the viewer trend, comment trend, sharing history, privacy settings. So that was under tools, but if I come up here, again, here's the history, the activity dashboard. So again, multiple ways to get to the same thing. How am I doing? Okay, oh wow, it's already 2:35, okay. Let me see what else in Google Docs. Inserting hyperlinks, similar to how I inserted it in on Google Slides earlier. So all I had to do was highlight a word, and then I can insert the link. I can come up here and hit insert, and I can, link it to something right here. I can paste a link in here that I want it to for sure go to, or I can even find more. So I can even find more out here and then link it by getting this. If I want that website, I just can copy it and then come over here, insert link, and then paste it, and then I've hyperlinked it. So if you've heard the term hyperdocs, or you saw my virtual classroom, if you click on different things, that person just inserted the link to it. Okay, so hopefully if this was your first time collaborating on a document, even though we had so many people, you will give it a try again, and maybe with a smaller group, and hopefully it will make your life a little bit easier in collaborating. One thing with the Google Docs I loved, as in staff meetings, sometimes in staff meetings, people would say, oh, I'll do that, or I'll look into that. And then a week later, we come back to the staff meeting and nothing was done. Here, if you assign it to them, they can see what they've signed up for, get the message via their email, and then hopefully then follow through on that. So I find that having a collaborative agenda works well as well, whether it's a whole staff meeting or PLC, whatever it may be. All right. So in this slide deck, I did put a lot of more slides in here about Google Docs. So feel free to look at that. Google Docs, again, there's just so much to know about this, and hopefully will help you on your journey with your technology skills, with your students or yourself, whatever it may be. But having this word processing, the Google Docs is a good one to know and understand. So then we'll go down to, I need to still talk about Google Meets and Classroom. So I'm going to skip over today right now about add-ons and extensions. I'm trying to think if I have something out there on the YouTube channel that explains it, but if not, this talks about it. There's some other links here to understand it. And that's one thing. It's okay to not recreate everything. That a lot of people out there are sharing materials with us, with you, and you can link to their information. So for example, right here, Eric Kurtz has a wealth of information out there, and he has a great table here explaining extensions, web apps, and add-ons. Would I have liked to recreate this? Sure, but again, I run out of time. to do everything that I want to do. And so if you know that something's out there and they give you the rights to share it, share it. How do I know? Right down here, he's got the Creative Commons symbol here. And basically what this allows you to do is it allows you to share it as long as you're not trying to make money off of it. And you give credit to where credit's due. So that's been a big change here in the last 5 years. I believe that, you know, they allow you to share it out, that you don't have to recreate this. So again, take a look at that if you want to learn about the differences between these three. If not, on, I guess tomorrow on part 2, if we have time, I'll talk about that as well. So Google Meet, some of you, whether you use Zoom, Google Meet, or whatever platform you use for video conferencing with your students. In the beginning, I don't know if you remember, it seemed like a lifetime ago when we started to do this remote learning, that we were having kids, if we were using Google Meet, kids were joining in without the teacher, or we couldn't give the Google Meet link to the kids until 10 minutes before, or until we were ready to join. Well, there's a couple ways around that now. One way around that is using the Google Meet link in Google Classroom. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Here in Google Calendar, you could create a Google Meet. If you see right now, it says a Hangouts Meet. Google has been changing the name, playing with if they should call it Google Hangouts Meet or Google Meet. I think they've just named it Google Meets. So if I go up here to my calendar and I go to create, right here, if I add location or conferencing, it should just be, yeah, it's just Google Meet now. Right now also, they are allowing up to 250 participants. Usually with our G Suite apps for education account that are free, we usually only had 25 participants. They are pushing this out, giving this to us free. They said as of right now until July 1. Will I see that they may extend this? I'm hoping that they will extend this into the fall if need be. But if you see sometime that this goes back, it's because in the G Suite Enterprise account that they allow up to 250 participants. The difference between the two is just like with any of some of these other extensions and apps, there's a free version and a paid version. So Google's jumping on the bandwagon and trying to get, you know, push out some different tools that people might be willing to pay for. So this is one of them, but right now we should all have this up to 250 participants for free. So we can create a Google Meet from here, from your calendar. It gives you the link, and then you can, so let me go and just put May 18th. I create a Google Meet 3 to 4 p.m. If I click on more options, it gives me the bigger screen right here, and then I can add guest. Could that take a lot of time on your part if you did created a Google Meet for your students from here? It does. But if you needed to invite 1 or 2 people here, if you've got them in your Google account, if you can just click on them or type in their name if they're not showing up here, and it might come up here. So that's one way to do that. Let me get out of this. Another way with Google Meets, you might have this in your Gmail now. Again, they were rolling this out here within the last couple of weeks, so some people still haven't seen it in their email, but if they go to their email, it's over here now. Another spot for Google Meet is then in Classroom. This is where what they rolled out, I want to say sometime in April, and this has been a lifesaver. So if I go into Classroom, how do I go to Classroom? I can go type in classroom.google.com or go over to my apps and click on Classroom. And if I go into my Classroom, right here, I've got the Google Meet. If I don't see that right now, you might want to go to your gear and see if you have the option to turn it on or off to make it visible to students. Again, your Google admin will have to turn that on the back end, and if they allow you to use Google Meet. If not, you do have control over it if you don't want that there. So what does that mean? Does that mean a student could go into my Google Meet at any time and start meeting with students? Let me show you. This is for my student page. This is Blake's page. And I've got, if I'm the student right now and going into the Google Meet and, you know, I want to talk with some of my friends in the class, if I click on that as a student, here's what the student will get. They've encountered a problem joining this video call. It won't allow the students to go into a Google Meet without the teacher there. So once the teacher joins and clicks on that link, so I'll go back to the teacher account. Once the teacher joins and click on this account, then the students, they'll get this page once the teacher's in, and it'll tell them, hey, Mrs. Schwartz is in, and they can hit join now. But before, did you see how they didn't have this page? It came up that there was a problem. Well, the problem is it won't let them in until the teacher's in. So then just to get out of it, we can just click this X up here and it gets out of the Google Meet. The other thing, if you are in a Google Meet, whether it's from Classroom or from, some people in the beginning were just putting the link here 10 minutes before the class started and you wanted to get out of the class, what you would have to do, you would have to remove the students. So what do I mean by that? For those of you who've maybe never used Google Meet before. So if I'm the teacher, so here's the teacher account. I'm going to mute my microphone so we don't have a lot of feedback. I'll hit join now. So this should work if my internet's not too slow. So I could add people from here, but that takes time. Again, technology is supposed to help with that. So if I go back to the student account and the student join, before the student couldn't join because the teacher wasn't in. Now the teacher's in. So it's, hey, it's letting the student in. So again, you're getting it for the student account, the video from my other camera. I'm going to put mute. And so it's saying, hey, Lisa Schwartz is in this call, and I can hit join now. And so this is what the student sees. I can come up here as the student and can see who's in here. I have the chat available to me as well. As you can see, I've got some lag time with having both of this ran from my computer. If I go back to my teacher account, and again, if this is too confusing, I can go over this more later. But here at the teacher account, I can come up here and see who's in the meeting. And before I get off of this, I would want to make sure all the students have closed out of it. If not, if I see Blake still on, I can remove him myself. So you do want to remove the students before you exit out, or they will still stay on. If you forget to do that, you can always go back in and remove them then again and get them out of there. So with the Google Meet here, you also have a way that you can share your screen as well. And it's not showing up, but it's usually here at the bottom of the screen. Maybe it's on with two different screens. And I think with me lagging. Okay, there we go. It just showed up there. It was present now in the bottom right hand. There we go. And I can even turn on closed captions here. And again, some students might need to turn off their camera so that if their internet is lagging, it saves on bandwidth here. And then here's how they can turn on the microphone if they want. But you as the teacher, again, you can come over here and unmute. Can you not unmute them in Google Meets? I guess you can't. If I'm wrong, someone please unmute yourself and let me know. It says I can't unmute someone else. Okay. All right. So did you see, as a teacher, I got out of that. So then if I go to the student view, here's a student view. The student's still in the Google Meet. So then what I would have to do, I could go back in, remove them, and then they would be out of it. If not, the student can just come up here, click the X, and take them out of the Google Meet. Someone asked, can you record the Google Meet? Good question. I was thinking you could. Can someone verify that? Yeah, okay, perfect, thank you. Because that's how some teachers are sharing their screen, teaching the students some information, and then uploading it or sharing that out with the students via Google Classroom. All right, so again, as you can see, don't be hard on yourself if you don't know everything. Hopefully use your colleagues, other people, to ask questions and to help you out. Use your students, even though we're in remote learning. You know, if you're doing Google Meets, ask your kids if they know a better way, or if you don't know something, you'll be surprised at maybe what your students might know. So Google Classroom. So let me talk about Google Classroom here. So how can we get to Google Classroom? A couple different ways. Again, I can go to the waffle and go to my classroom here. I can type in classroom.google.com and go there. So here in Google Classroom, here are all of my classes that I have, and it shows how many students I have in them and then what's due. So if I'm starting out with new Google Classroom, I could come up here and hit the plus sign and create a class, or here's where students can join a class. So I know some school districts on the back end, they're able to create classes based off of your student information system, whether it's TeacherEase, Skyward, any of the student information systems out there, if they work and play nicely with Google. I'm sure there's money involved that those companies have to pay Google to allow their student information systems to work with the Google, the G Suite apps for education. But if not, this is where you would create a class, and then here's where kids would join a class. So if I was a new student in the class, all I would have to do is click join class and put in the class code. Well, where is the class code? If I come up here to the differentiation workshop, right underneath the title of my class, here's a class code. I can display it so it's larger if I need the kids to see that. And then all they would have to do is type in this code, and then they're members of the class. So even if they're a student who joins your class 2 weeks, 3 weeks in, how many ever weeks into your class that you've started, they will see everything that's already there. So right now, I don't think there's a workaround around that. But with the class code, if for some reason the class code is confusing, then you could change that. So where could you change that? Again, at the start of this workshop, I said anytime you see the gear or 3 dots, there's another menu there of other options you can do. So right here, when I went up to the gear, it took me to the class settings for this class. Right here under General, I've got this class code, and I could display it from here. I could copy it. I could reset it. So if I hit reset, it just clicks, it just gives me a different code here that students can join. Sometimes you might get codes with L's or I's, and with those, it could be confusing for them to type it. But this step you might not have to do if your district rosters the classes for you and you don't have to worry about setting up the classes. If you also look here in the gear with the class settings, I have the stream and I have classwork on the stream. So let me go back and explain that. So basically here, the stream is where You can put notifications of when you add assignments. You can also have a spot for where the students can have conversations back and forth with each other. So, and then I also clicked on here. Here's I can share things with the class. I will tell you with the stream, I rarely just come to the stream and add anything. Whenever I put in my classwork, when I add assignments here for my classwork, it'll say, hey, Lisa Schwartz posted a new question. It lets the kids know I didn't type that. Again, it's on the back end. Google's got this program for once I create a new assignment, it comes here, it posts kind of an announcement here in stream. If you look right here, since it's a question, it has the emblem or the icon with the question mark here. This was an assignment, so it's got that little clipboard right here. You could, if you wanted them to just watch a video, you could just insert a video here. I could say, have a great day. Any of these things that are here, again, do you see these three dots? With these three dots, you can edit this or you could copy the link. I can move it to the top if I wanted to have it at the top. But basically, how does it come here? It's based off of what your activity was with classwork, or if you come up here and put things. So again, I put a video down here. It wasn't tied to any assignment. If I want it to be an assignment, I would put it in classwork. Also here in stream, you can have it where the students can talk back and forth, have a conversation. So if you don't want that, or you see kids abusing that, let me switch to a different class here. So I think, was it this class? Maybe not. I was going to show you where students were talking back and forth. Okay, so right here, Chris Roberts says, woohoo, no homework. And then people could respond to that. And, or if for some reason a student would type something in here that was inappropriate, there's a couple different things you could do. You could turn stream off for students, period. Or you can just turn stream off for certain students. So if I click the three dots, here I'm on Chris Roberts, I could just mute Chris Roberts. So Chris wouldn't have the option to contribute and to have a conversation here in stream, but all the other kids could. But if for some reason I wanted to mute all of the students, I would just go up here to the gear. That takes me to settings. And right here, stream, right underneath the class code. Right now I have students can post and comment. If I only want students to comment on what I post, then I could turn that on. If I just want students not to be able to post or comment, I can just put only teachers can post or comment on here. So you have that option there, or you have the option of just muting the students who are not following the rules of posting in stream. Right here, also classwork on the stream. Again, right now I've got where condensed notifications come up. If I don't want any notifications to come up on stream, I can hide those if I want, or I can have it show all of the attachments and details of the assignment that I give. So if I come over here, if I want to go, I don't know if you've noticed, if I want to go back to all of my classes, I just can hit the three lines here and I can go back to my classes. If I want to go back to the home page, which is the stream of this class, I just click on Differentiation Workshop and it takes me back to the stream. Also here, if you notice in the stream, I've got what's upcoming, what's due Wednesday, what's due Thursday. So they can see for each class what is due. One other thing here, it said, you know, only teachers could comment. Right here, if I go to people, this is where I could invite teachers. So here's another teacher I have. Usually you can only invite teachers that are within your domain, within usually your school district there. And then I know I'm running out of time here. Under classwork, this is where you can add assignments. when you add assignments, you can add multiple things under those assignments. You don't have to just add one thing. So under this assignment here, I've added a Google Drawings for the kids to access. I've added a video for them to watch. I added a reading assignment I wanted them to read. And then I added another Google Docs for them to access some information. And so you can put instructions here, or you can put instructions on each of the assignments. You can also, especially during this time of remote learning, for the younger kids or even older kids, put some instructions here for the parents, or maybe some discussion questions that they could have with their child. So a lot of things here. I know there's, I could spend 2 more hours on Google Classroom. I did a workshop this morning for 2 hours on Google Classroom with some teachers. And we still ran out of time with that. On my YouTube channel, I do have the workshops recorded about Google Classroom, that if this is something you want to know more about, take a look at that. I know we are having a Google workshop, a Google Classroom workshop, I want to say June 5th. So I don't know if the registration's gone live yet or not, but having that on June 5th as well. But again, if that doesn't suit you, feel free, you can go to the YouTube channel and go through the workshop and also see the slide deck as well. So a lot we covered in 3 hours. Again, don't beat yourself up if you're feeling overwhelmed. Remember, take some deep breaths. You can get through it, or you will have access to this later on. You can fast forward or go to click on the transcript and maybe skip to the Google Classroom area or go back to the YouTube area. But the biggest thing here on slide 48, just remember, I hope with your journey, on your technology journey here, that this quote from Maya Angelou is, "I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better." So hopefully you'll see technology as a tool to help your kids go beyond just your classroom, how they can collaborate with others in the classroom, or with others in the school district, and with others outside of the school district. So wish you good luck. I know some of you are getting to go on summer break here, so enjoy your summer as well. Here on slide 49, and I think I had this back up on slide 2 as well, I've got my Google evaluation, if you'll fill that out. And then also your ISB evaluation. Kelly and Aaron will be sending that out. Again, they might be busy, so allow 24 to 96 hours to get that. And once you get that, then you will get your evidence of completion. But if anything, I have more instructions back here on slide 2. But thank you for your time. And I've got a little time before my next meeting here that I can stay on to answer any other questions or whatever you may have. So if you're done, feel free to exit at any time. If not, feel free to stay on, and you can unmute yourself and ask away. And if some of you want to have conversations among each other too, if you want to see what some of the teachers are doing in Jacksonville or Winchester or at Franklin, feel free. Ask away. If you're a 3rd grade teacher, you want to see what other 3rd grade teachers are doing. I'll leave it open for that as well.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
Are we still meeting tomorrow with my Jacksonville group, or is this just a one-day?
No, we've got tomorrow from 12 to 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What?
Is it the same thing, or is this gonna expound on this?
No, it's actually different apps. So tomorrow, what, I don't know off the top of my head, what apps.
That's cool. So they still need to fill out the evaluation for today and then do the same thing tomorrow.
Yeah, because I know some couldn't come today, but are coming tomorrow, and that is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Kelly. Thank you. So if they can, fill out that evaluation. Again, there's, I think, a short 3-question one of mine, and then there's one for ISB that will be coming. So Kelly, if you're still on, are you sending it to your Jacksonville teachers today?
The ISB one?
Yeah.
I don't know how to, but I will.
Or are you wanting the ROE to send them that evaluation?
Oh no, I can. No. You're right. I can do that. Yes, I'll send it. I'll send the ISB one. I
Okay.
forgot. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you have questions on that, let me know. I can help out too. Yeah, Carly, the Google slide. Great question. Let's see. That bit.ly link, I don't know. Let me just copy and paste it from here. You should be able to access the slide from there. So if you add it to your drive, okay, so you can't sign in. So let me just put the link to the sign in. Let's see. Let me copy this link. So here's the link to the sign in if you didn't get to sign in. And that, the sign in looks like this. It's like a Google form. At the top, I have a picture of the beach. And then the, my evaluation, I'll put in the link as well in the chat. And you can access that. And then you will also get the ISB evaluation. If you're from Jacksonville, I think Kelly's sending that out. And everyone else, the evaluation should be coming from Aaron from the ROE one. If it's confusing, any questions, feel free, unmute yourself, ask now, or, put it in chat and or email me. My email was on slide 4 here as well. That can email me too. So I know this week I'm giving over about 20 hours of workshops. So I'm trying to stay up with email, but if I do get behind, allow me up hopefully at 48 hours and I'll try to get your email.
Lisa,
yeah.
How do you delete a student off of a Google Classroom?
Oh, good question here. If I just stopped sharing my screen, but I can go back to sharing it here. Let me click on it here. If to delete a student, oh, good question. Maybe I don't know how. I don't know. Does anybody know, or we'll have to Google it to.
I played around with it while I saw that question in the chat, so I played around with it. So I went into Google Classroom, and I went into my people, and if you click on there's where it says students, there's a box right below, and then there's right next to that there's actions, and then if you click on actions, there's a drop down tab where you can remove. Now it immediately checks all the students, so you would want to, uncheck, or uncheck those you wouldn't want to remove, but then click remove, and then I would assume, I haven't tried it, but I would assume it would do that. So that's what I came across. I don't know if somebody knows something better or quicker.
No, thanks, Breck. That's how you do it. They've changed it because it used to, what I was looking at. I don't know if am I sharing my screen? Can you see it?
Okay, let me see. Yeah, okay.
So I was thinking it was the 3 dots.
I did too, but where is it then?
Okay, so what Breck, if you want to go through it again, I can.
Explain it to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so just that box right above where Blake's name is. That.
Oh, okay.
And then click on actions.
Oh, and remove. Okay.
Right.
And see, here's yet another place you can mute them.
Yep. Okay.
And, yeah, great question. Thank you. Thank you, Breck, too, for.
No problem.
And that's one thing, things are constantly changing and it's hard to keep up with everything. So hopefully, like Breck, he was looking into it. He saw the question and glad he explored
Thank you.
that. Yeah, thank you, Mary.
Lisa, this is Sherry McLaughlin. And when I click on the links in the chat, nothing comes up.
Okay, so you might, thank you for asking. You might have to actually highlight the links and copy them and paste them into a new tab.
Okay.
If you save the chat into your drive, can you access the link there then?
You will be able to, I think you'll just have to copy and paste it. I don't think it will be an active link. Yes, it's a great question. And it should, if you got it into the slide deck as well, I should have most of the links there, but what Chad, I think Chad, that was you talking. If you go to the bottom of the chat, to the right of the word file and click on the 3 dots, you can save the chat too. So a couple other questions in the chat room. Google Classroom, will I go through that more thoroughly? I need to double check which apps I'm going to go through tomorrow. I can do that real quick. If I have time, yeah, I can. If not, yeah, it's on the YouTube channel. So I'll look that up. And then the analytics feature and sites have to be first activated by District Tech. I don't know that answer for sure. Did it allow you to create a Google Analytics account? No, it didn't. So maybe if you Google it and just see if you can't figure it out, because sometimes I still need that human. I don't like how sometimes people say, oh, Google it to find the answer. It's nice just to be able to reach out to someone. If not, yeah, reach out to your tech person and ask. They would probably have more knowledge. I don't know if anybody on here has used the Google Analytics, if you had to have the District Tech on the back end turn that on or not. But Dorothy, I would assume you're probably right that you will need your District Tech to turn it on. Tara, going back to your question, it looks like tomorrow we'll cover forms and sheets, slides, Gmail, and calendar. So again, a lot to cover in 3 hours. It's going to be the tip of the iceberg. So I don't think I'll have time for classroom, but again, I know on June 5th, we're going to go into that in more detail. I've got 2 hours carved out just for that. But this is just kind of an introduction for anybody, you know, to be aware and get to know, hopefully learn just enough that you can be dangerous with some of these apps, right? Just to explore. So hopefully those apps that we're covering tomorrow, if you're joining us again, will be beneficial to you as well. All right, so from here, if you guys have